All right, perfect. So today I wanted to talk about how to protect your energy because I had a really interesting experience the other day, and it reminded me of how important this is for every aspect of every person and for your healing journey. And so I decided I would come on and just talk about psychic attacks and ways to protect your energy field. And also, I will tell you my story. So, how to protect your energy. And there we go. Great. So, first of all, make sure you are not psychically attacking others. Don't be a part of the problem. So, what is a psychic attack? Where do they come from? So, a psychic attack is basically any time that you or someone else starts to ruminate or get angry or talk negatively about someone else, or maybe you're getting really like having really intense emotions towards someone, whether it be like you're really angry or you're really jealous or whatever those things are, and maybe you're talking to someone about it or you're thinking about it in your head. You are actually, in a lot of cases, sending out that negative energy to that person without really realizing that you're doing it. And so that also happens with other people. So if someone is really mad at you about something and they just sit there and they ruminate on it and they get angry about it and they just continue to be really upset, eventually that energy will get to you and it can cause all sorts of things in the body. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But so it's just really important to kind of keep track of your own thoughts and what you're kind of doing and thinking towards another person, even if you're not in the presence of that person, because it doesn't matter if they're halfway across the world, they could still feel that psychic attack. A lot of times they're much more intense in person. So if you're like actually having a yelling match between two people or physically engaging, obviously that's going to be much more intense, but they'll still definitely feel it anywhere that they are. So it's just really important to keep track of that. And I'll get it more into kind of what you do to protect others and yourself from psychic attacks in a little bit. So what kinds of signs are evident when it is a psychic attack? So it's kind of hard to differentiate sometimes because our bodies could actually be kind of sick or in pain, or you could actually be feeling anxiety or anger or sadness or whatever. But a lot of it is usually something that comes out of nowhere. So like, for example, there was this one time I had a pain in my back and it came out of nowhere and it felt different than anything I'd ever felt before. And I was like, wait a second, is that even my pain? And I sent it back. So as soon as I sent it back, that pain was completely gone, which means it wasn't my pain. Which means I was either tapping into somebody else's energy by accident or they were sending me a psychic attack by accident. I found that in most cases it is by accident. There are people out there that will purposefully send a psychic attack if they understand what they are, which I don't know. I feel like that's kind of rude, so please don't do that. And kind of mean. But so I think that's one of the signs and one of the things that kind of comes up. The other thing is if you feel suddenly like really sad or really upset or really anxious, any kind of really intense emotion that feels like it comes out of nowhere. Like you're like, I don't even know why I'm upset right now. I just feel really upset. That kind of thing can be a psychic attack. So you kind of like check in, like, why am I so upset right now? If you can't really get an answer, it's possibly not yours. You could try to send it back. Another possibility is physical pain, like I was talking about earlier. So like you just have like a twinge of, maybe there's like a little tweak in your neck or on your shoulder, and it could really anywhere in the body. You could also feel kind of sick, like you could suddenly feel nauseous or like I remember one night I was feeling really sick, like I thought I was like getting the flu or something, and it was terrible. But after I kind of checked in, I was like, wait a second, like I don't think this is mine, and I sent it back, and that went away. And so like I went from thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna spend the whole week feeling like crud, instead I just sent it back and it was gone. So it's kind of miraculous how it happens. And so I just think it's super, super important for everyone to really pay attention to this kind of thing. Okay, this is kind of what I was talking about with sending it back. There are a few things that you can say, but one of the things is back to sender. My mentor taught me to say back to sender with consciousness attached, because that means that the way I see it is that it kind of shows back up in their field, and they can grab it and pay attention to it as soon as they're ready to. Otherwise, it just kind of goes back to them. So if they're already ready to accept it and deal with it on their own, then they just take the energy back right away. But consciousness just kind of means that they're going to be conscious of it. It's almost like adding a little note, like, here you go, you have to deal with this sometime, you know? So it's almost like a kinder way, but it's really easy to just say back to sender. So if like you're just don't think you'll be able to remember the consciousness part, or it doesn't really vibe with you, you can always just say back to sender. And so I already talked about this, but it's just if you suddenly feel sick or have a super intense emotion that you just can't explain, check if it's even yours. And checking if it's yours means that you sort of, I'm going to use the words truth testing. I know some of you know what that means, some of you don't. It's similar to muscle testing. So there's two ways that I do this. One is I just kind of ask, like, is it mine? And I try to see if my body gives a response. Usually if it's a no, your body will kind of tense up or retract. And then if it's a yes, your body will kind of feel a little lighter. But you just have to get used to your body's way of telling you what's a yes and what's a no. The other way that I do it is I stand up and I do the leaning test. I know I've talked about this before, but you stand up and you just ask your body to tell you, like, is this emotion or sickness or whatever mine? And if it is yours, you'll lean forward, that's a yes. And if it leans back, it's a no. And sometimes when you're first starting out, you have to stand there for a while and just wait for your body to move. Sometimes at first it can take a little while, and I even have times where it takes a bit. But also I wanted to mention that if you just aren't into truth testing, or it does not vibe with you, the other way you can sort of just do this is just instead say, I wonder if this is mine, and say back to sender. And if that thing, whatever it is, goes away completely and it just disappears, it wasn't yours to deal with. Okay, so that's that. And then so this is the other thing that I like to say, and this is like this also protects other people from your energy. So my example I like to use a lot is, like, let's say you're in the car and somebody cuts you off, and you're just like, oh, how dare you cut me off, you know? And that person might even be mad at you for some reason, like maybe they're like, why won't that person let me in, or whatever the case may be. So you guys might have both had an energetic exchange there without really knowing it, right? And I can usually feel it now. I've gotten a lot more sensitive to it. But I almost always, if I can tell that there was some sort of energy exchange, or if I think there might have been, I always say, all of you come back to me, all of you go back to you. And all it's doing is it's sending back all their energy. So anything they might have sent your way that may cause some sort of issue in your body, you're taking that back because that's yours to deal with. They're taking back anything that they might have sent at you. You're taking anything that you might have sent to them. And it works really well. This is actually what I said the other day during my little incident, which I'll tell you in a little bit. All right, so now I'll tell you. So I was playing a game with some friends online, so just a virtual thing. We weren't in person. And during the whole game, like, I felt pretty good. I felt pretty normal. Nothing really felt out of whack or anything. But as soon as I was done with the game, I started to feel really sad and depressed, like I wanted to cry. I was going to make dinner for my husband and I, he's on crutches, so I've been taking care of him. And I was about to make dinner, but I was feeling really lethargic and tired and lazy and antisocial and all of these things that I don't really feel all that often anymore. And so I was kind of like, I wonder what's going on. Well, then it got worse and more intense. And I was like on the verge of tears, and I was yelling at my husband, and I was snapping, and I was losing it, right? Like completely losing it. And at first I was just kind of accepting that something was going on. But then as I was making dinner, I was like, wait a second, this came out of nowhere and I have like no reason to feel this way. And once I said that out loud to my husband, I was like, huh. So I remember exactly in the moment I was getting something from the fridge and I said, okay, well let's test this out because this doesn't feel like me. So I said, all of you go back to you, all of you come back to me. And I had no idea who this was going to. I just said it. I just said the words. 2 seconds later, all of that dissipated. It completely left my body. And my husband was trying to decide whether or not he wanted to go watch some Game of Thrones with some of our friends. And he said that once I kind of freaked out, he didn't want to stay at home with me anymore, which I totally understand. But then I kind of had to explain to him and apologize because he's not super into all of this spiritual, energetic stuff. So I just had to like apologize and say, that wasn't mine. And as soon as it was gone, I knew it was gone. But he even asked me, is this going to possibly come back? And I was like, no, I've sent it away. It's gone. And now that I knew that energy, like I knew what that energy was now, if it did come back for some reason, which it usually doesn't, but if it did, I knew what it was already. So I could have just sent it back right away, really quickly, like in a second. So it's just so important to protect your own energy and to protect other people's energy by doing the tools I've just showed you. And I still am amazed that this works so quickly. And also, I also just want to mention that it may not have been anybody that I played the game with. Like it could have been, like I said, it could be somebody across the world that's mad at you and just, was riffing about you to someone maybe, or riffing about it in their mind, and then it just kind of came to you. So I don't know if it could have been somebody on my call, but it also could have been a friend, or my sister, or my mom. I don't know, anybody. It could have been anybody in my life, or anywhere in the whole world. So try not to assume who it is unless you kind of have a pretty good idea. Like if you were having a fight with someone earlier that day or something, or like that kind of thing, like I would just try not to assume, because a lot of times you're just going to be like, you're going to start to get maybe mad at that person for sending you a psychic attack, but instead just send it back, preferably with consciousness attached, and then just leave it. So that is that. So I just wanted to thank everybody for being here. As you can see, I didn't put my name there, but that's okay. I'll forgive myself for that. So thank you for everybody who showed up and listened. I just think this is a super important topic. It's so simple, and I knew this was going to be really quick, but I just, again, think it's so important for everyone to know this and to start practicing it on a regular basis. So I'm just going to stop recording here. So thank you to everybody who's watching on YouTube. And if you decide that you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment on YouTube, and I will be happy to respond to you and answer any questions about this. So see ya, YouTube.